Hey beauties, good morning to you. So beautiful people, I was watching a video with a police officer. I didn't look at his ranking, but I noticed I saw somebody like whether it's a superintendent or an inspector that was on the scene and so on with, two officers. So what happened, he had a schoolboy. The schoolboy looked like he was around, and he looked like he about 10, 11, 12, thereabout. I couldn't figure his age really, but you can hear when he spoke, I said he's between 10, 12, 13 or thereabout. So the officer had him on the ground, had him his hand rested, had him down like this. And then, he kind of had his knee kind of holding him down. But when I looked at it, the knee wasn't squeezing him, because you would have heard that kind of, in something you're gasping for air, kind of a sound. So I know that he didn't rest the weight, but he gave him some kind of a way to hold him down, but not to suffocate him, not to choke him. I saw some comments in the videos and I said, if they really looked, he really was not pressing his heavy weight on him. It's just because the knee was resting on him. You'd have heard that gasping for air, on the fact that he had it on his knee, on his kind of pelvis or belly area or stomach area. You'd have heard like him can't breathe. You understand? And he was not. He was just saying, basically, let me go. Now, when we glance at these videos at first sight, or upon first sight, it will come across like there is abuse going on, abuse of children who are considered, in the highest or in the number one of the vulnerable groups. Not necessarily number one, but in the top three, in the vulnerable groups, and our children need to be protected, and it's abuse going on here. But I said, especially into today's Jamaica that we live in, and generally we don't see this with children. Notice I said generally we don't see this with children. Right, generally we don't see this with children. It's being happening to children, more adults, especially male adults, where a police officer is seemingly manhandling the child or abusing the child, in the eyes of the people. I said to myself, when I watched it, I said, must be something. There's something that child did, that the officer had to hold him down. And you know how children are. Remember, they're not adults, they're not thinking like us. They're going to do everything to get out of the presence of the police officer or whoever is trying to hold them down. They will try and fight back because they don't really understand the ramifications of their actions. All right, if that were the case, many children would do what adults do in terms of, living more sensibly. With age comes wisdom. All right, so I watched it and I said, let me look in the comments, because maybe somebody in there may have some information. What was happening is that the child's father was probably being arrested. And because I heard when the child say, he's the only one that takes care of me and my sister. He's the only one that takes care of my sister. And boy children, especially male children, they're going to be extremely overprotective of their fathers, because most people don't have fathers. So when they do have that father, they're going to be highly protective of the father. It goes without saying of the mother. You don't really find it goes without saying. But they're going to be very protective of the father. So maybe he's fighting back, trying to protect his own father. It's natural for men to go into a protective mode. That's an innate thing I think God has blessed men with, for them to be providers and protectors and so on. So he's naturally going into that role that was, in there, but not understanding that he would be breaching the law by obstructing so-called justice. I don't know if it's a just act yet. I don't know the situation. All right. So him coming and trying to attack physically or so, and trying to get the police off, and maybe not listening because he's now irate, he's angry, he's a child, he's not going to reason like an adult. The police officer probably said, okay, I have no choice but to hold you down or you cannot move. But I'm not going to kill you, I'm not going to abuse you, I'm not going to choke you, because he had to say stop or keep quiet. He have to be very firm with the little boy. Because let me tell you something. The Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go, that when he's old, he doesn't depart from it. You wonder why sometimes these children do not conform, and they act frivolously, and they act any and every way, because they're not taught conformity, they're not taught discipline, they're not taught accountability. You can't just get up and feel like you can operate anyway because you're a child. No, it doesn't work like that. And the man, when you look at it, as I watched again, he was not abusing the child. He had to hold him, because I know, especially, many of you have experienced boy children. They can get wacky. They can get wild. And it is because of not they don't have that emotional intelligence, which you wouldn't expect. So the police has to say, look here, this is how they're going to know. So the next time he sees something like this, he won't be quick to go and jump and try and obstruct justice being, and I use the word justice loosely. I'm not saying the police is being just in how he dealt with the father, because I don't know the situation, but for conversational purposes, so we can move quickly, you know. Right. So for conversational purposes, we can move quickly, you know. The child will know now understand. You don't just get up and try to obstruct justice being enacted. All right, beauties. So when I look at it, the video, he was not abusing the child. He just held him down because he's stronger. He had to put some weight. In other words, you don't want somebody to move, you have to use a little bit more force than just ordinarily, you know, holding on to them and so on. He needed him to respect authority. He had to teach the child that. Whether he's wrong in terms of how he dealt with the father, I don't know, or whether he was right. You know, because the little boy, what he kept saying is that he's the only one that takes care of, you know, he doesn't want his father to be taken away. I don't know what the story is. If his mother is alive, if his mother doesn't take care of them, I don't know what the story is. But you could hear that cry within him saying, by God, I don't want this man to go because he's our only provider and source right now. That's what he's saying. That's what the little boy is saying. Right? And so forth. But, you know, the officer, whatever he did, the officer, you know, felt that he was being disrespectful and obstructing justice, obstructing something, you know, that is mandated by the officers to carry out. You know, after a while, he told him to get up, and then he said, sit right there, you know. Because let me tell you something, if you do not teach your children responsibility, if we don't teach them how to conform, that is why we have men and women in our society disrespecting people and feel no way about it. Jamaica is not what it used to be. For example, I mean, back in the day, women could feel a little bit comforted. Maybe comforted is not the right word, but for lack of a better word right now, comforted in the sense if they are in some sort of a verbal combative argument with a man, the man is not even going to argue with them. The man will allow the woman to verbally assault him sometimes. And I don't condone that. I do not condone abuse in any form. Women not supposed to abuse. Women should not abuse men, and men should not abuse women. You know, but generally you find that women will be more verbally. We're stronger with our mouth. You know, because we don't have that physical strength to be fighting a man generally. So the man will be physically abusive, or you know, and the women generally will be verbally abusive. Although you do have men abuse women verbally in the homes, put them down, and so forth. I don't condone that, but back in the day, I mean, a woman could just run her mouth. The man just probably walk away and say, sure, I wouldn't bother argue with you. You're female. You know, different sex, different gender. You know, nowadays, no. Oh no, that man will toe to toe with you. It's almost like they found who they are. Nowadays, it's like they will toe to toe with you. It's not like back in the one or two may just ignore, you know. But let me tell you, when I scroll the internet sometimes and I see some men talking about women, and if the women answer them back, let me tell you, man, somebody would have to strip them down naked for you to look to see if they really are a man or a woman, the way how they behave, the way how they take them on. They're a disgrace and a shame to their own manhood and male state. And don't get me wrong, I do not condone a woman abusing a man, but two wrongs certainly don't make a right. You can't take on being a male man and a woman. Man, put it that way. So in other words, even though she may be doing this, why would you want to go and take that on as a man? You already have your own weaknesses that you have to contend with. Why not contend with that? Why take on a woman's role? Because you as a man don't like masculine women. And this is because our children are not taught a lot of things: conformity, respect of other people, accountability, responsibility, discipline. It has been omitted. It is archaic. It has been foregone. Oh, what a web we weave. I don't know what's going to happen to Jamaica, but may God help us. Guys, follow me on TikTok, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please share this message.